Asking first of all, are taxpayers effectively being forced to pay twice for regeneration sites which are owned by the public sector? A BBC investigation has found that millions of pounds has been spent by local authorities buying up land which used to belong to the now defunct regional development agencies such as Yorkshire Forward. James Vincent has the story.
Barnsley, in the best possible way, it can sometimes look a bit grim. They've been waiting for redevelopment in the town centre for years. Key sites were bought by Yorkshire Forward with public money so that work could go ahead.
Barnsley's had a number of regeneration sites which Yorkshire Forward have been involved in. Out here in the east of the borough, in the Dearn and at Grimethorpe, Junction 36 at the M1. But the principal site and the main site we need for regeneration is right here in the town centre.
So the sites were already publicly owned by one government agency, but after Yorkshire Forward was closed by the coalition, their land was given to the Homes and Communities Agency, basically another part of the government. So Barnsley Council didn't bank on having to buy them again with £10 million of public money from their budget.
The government simply said, we want a market value. If you're not prepared to pay for it, we'll sell it somewhere else. That would have been a disaster for the scheme.
Councils thought that after the demise of Yorkshire Forward, they might be given these pieces of land, ready to be redeveloped, and then only pay for them when they were successful. That didn't happen, and the money has had to be found up front, much more of a risk. In York, the council has bought part of an old carriage works near the Railway Museum.
Well, I think it's reasonable to assume that land that's owned by the public, which it was through the government, would be passed on still to people and to the public after the demise of regional development agencies. I actually wrote to Vince Cable about this very issue, asking if that land could transfer over to our ownership, and I was written back and told no, and therefore we had to buy the land that we thought was strategically important for York.
The government would say that local councils don't need to own places for them to be successful. This one's owned by the Homes and Communities Agency. It's the Advanced Manufacturing Park on the border of Rotherham and Sheffield. Got Rolls-Royce moving in, diggers in the background, wind turbines working here, hundreds of jobs, and it's seen as the future of South Yorkshire's economy.
And this is another one of those sites, Tower Works in Leeds, run by the Homes and Communities Agency. They say it shows what can be done when they hold on to former Yorkshire Forward assets.
We've just recently opened this refurbish scheme, which has been a highly successful centre for digital and creative media. We've spent something like £5 million in the last 2 years actually completing the refurbishment of this project. When the decision was taken to abolish Yorkshire Forward, we were asked to take on responsibility for these remaining property assets. And some of those assets were sold off where there was no development planned in the immediate future. Other assets we're still working with councils jointly in partnership to bring forward the original schemes. But in some cases, and York and Barnsley in other cases, the local authorities decided they wanted to acquire those assets from us. The Treasury rules were clear that we wouldn't be able to give those assets away for nothing, so they had to be bought at the market value.
Some sites have been bought, others are still on the market. It'll be up to councils whether they want to gamble on taking responsibility for land in their areas. Barnsley hope their purchases will turn into a brand new town centre.
Hilary Benn, if I can come to you first, is it right that Labour councils in Yorkshire are spending millions of pounds buying land that's already publicly owned?
No, it isn't, and I can well understand why Steve Houghton and James Alexander are feeling really cross, because it was public money that bought these assets in the first place, and their budgets are being cut by the government, so they're being hit twice over. But I think the thing that really riles is that when it came to London, Boris Johnson was given the assets of the development agency there for free, whereas in the rest of the country, councils, if they want the land, are having to pay. So it's one rule for London and a different rule for everybody else. That is not fair, is it?